Alright, let's talk about leveling in Destiny, because God knows everyone's going to have the question of how do I gain light in Destiny and what's the best way to do it. Let's go over the facts first. The new soft cap will be 1000 and the new hard cap is 1010. Pinnacles drop at a +2, and currently the pinnacles in the game are the 100k Nightfall, Nightmare Hunt, Pit of Heresy, Garden of Salvation, and Iron Banner bounties. Pit of Heresy drops one piece of armor, so that's guaranteed there. Garden of Salvation has 5 drops, the challenge gives you 1 extra there, and they are actually specific depending on the encounter you complete. And Iron Banner bounties can't actually be relied upon because they're most likely coming back in week 3 or something like that. Now what about new pinnacles? We can only assume the Grandmaster Nightfall has at least one because it is an endgame activity, but we're not too sure if people are going to be able to complete it. The other thing is Trials. Trials will return on the weekend, and I don't exactly know how it previously worked, but I can only assume at least one pinnacle reward will be available there. Now the most recent TWAB did actually specify that they would be changing some powerfuls into pinnacles. These are the Crucible, Strike, Gambit, and Clan Engram weekly bounties. Whether that's actually the one where you need to do bounties, or whether you just need to do activities in the world, it didn't make that very clear, but either way, that's 4 more pinnacles up for grabs. The only other thing to mention here is there are potential updates to slot imbalance, and what that actually means is if you're getting too many of one piece, maybe you're getting helmet after helmet after helmet and it's screwing up your light leveling process, apparently they might have a fix for that, or they might have a way to prevent bad luck from screwing you over. So now that we've specified all that out, you can see it's a minimum of 13 pinnacle drops, which is a lot compared to what we've previously had. It's really important to understand that the pinnacle drops are actually your main resource for leveling here. How you use them is going to determine the max gear score that you end up with on all 3 characters at the end of the week. Another factor to consider is also how close you're actually going to get to the soft cap of 1000. So let's just reiterate that before we move forward. The pinnacles are your main resources and there's at minimum 13 of those available per week. Powerful engrams are also a good resource to use but won't be as powerful as pinnacles, and there are at least 8 per week that you can get. And the third type of resource that you could possibly use here is any other loot that drops in the world at gear score level. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's talk about exactly how to level your character. Firstly, for the person who isn't too worried about optimizing or anything like that, pinnacles will be your biggest increase prior to 1000. You don't want to save your pinnacles here, initially as there are not enough powerful engrams to get you to soft cap at 1000. Like I said before, there are only about 8 powerfuls or so, 3 on the moon, 3 from Crucible, Gambit and Strikes, and 1 from Flashpoint, 1 from the Gunsmith. So if you don't care about optimization, complete pinnacles first, then powerfuls. If you reach close to 1000 on your second or third character, you can save pinnacles for when you hit that point, because powerfuls won't actually increase your gear score over that point there. Now let's specifically get into optimizing, which is probably what most people are here for. Let me put on the screen those 3 different levels of drops before. So we have pinnacles, powerfuls, and gear score drop. The way this works is you want to raise the ceiling of your gear score level by getting pinnacles, and then you want to raise the floor to meet it so that you can get even more powerful pinnacles beyond that. Let me show you a site that sort of helps with that. So this is a Destiny 2 power calculator. You can just search it on Google and just find anyone you like. I know a couple of my friends have their own ones they use in Excel, but it doesn't really matter. The main point behind this is you can figure out whether a pinnacle drop will potentially give you a light level increase and whether or not you should go for it. So how do you use this website? Let's say we begin at 975 and we get a kinetic weapon drop. That'll bring that kinetic slot up to 975. As you can see here, we are now at gear score level 970.6. In order to get to 971, which then will increase all the drops we're getting by 1 level, we need to get that 0.4 up to 971. If then, for instance, we were to get a powerful that increases our energy weapon by 2, so that's a 972 drop, then you can see that's not enough. 2 light level increase is not enough to bring us to 971, which is our main goal there. But let's say for instance we got a pinnacle drop instead. We got lucky, we didn't get a kinetic again, which is very likely considering there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other slots. So it's a much higher chance you're getting a different slot. If you get a 975, that'll bring you to 971.2, which will then increase your pinnacles to 976 and your powerful engrams up a level as well. Let me organize this real quick and we'll talk about another situation here. Alright, so we have a different set of light level loot here. As you can see, the kinetics at 980, energy at 981, so on and so forth. But you can see the 2 that are lacking are the helmet and the class item at 972 and 973 respectively. Here is where we want to think about using some of the gear score drops. These come from a variety of different sources. Back in Shadowkeep, it was dropping from Devrim, so everyone was using Dusk-like shards to trade for loot in order to guarantee those drops, but there are a variety of different ways to get these drops into your inventory. It is at this point where you don't want to use pinnacles or you don't want to use powerfuls. They will be wasted resources if you use them in this situation. The best thing to do is to push up your light level by pushing the floor up, by getting these two drops, the helmet and the class item, up higher. If, for instance, we went to a vendor and we were able to get both the helmet and the class item at our gear score level, which is currently 978, as you can see, let's put those in right now, 978 and 978. It raises our gear score to 979, which at that point is in a good position to gain either a powerful or a pinnacle drop. Let's go one beyond that and let's actually test whether we want to get a pinnacle or a powerful drop, in which case we need to look at all our items. So 979 is the light level to beat. We have one that is 1 over, 2 over, on light, 1 under, 1 on light, 2 over, 3 over, and 1 under. So in this particular situation, there is no instance where a pinnacle drop will be a decrease for you, will be something that you are wasting your resources on. There are certain instances where a powerful, which isn't a +5, will actually not be beneficial to you. For instance, if you get legs, or if you get an energy or a chest piece, they actually won't increase your light level. For instance, if they actually drop at 982, which is only 3 light increase, let's put this one up here, it doesn't increase your gear score, which is not beneficial to you. The whole idea behind this is to figure out what increases your gear score and do that first. So let's say you do get unlucky. Let's say you grind for a pinnacle weapon and you do get legs. They drop at 984, so that adds 2 to it. You still get to 980. It doesn't matter that it wasn't that much of an increase. You bridge that gap and suddenly everything is dropping 1 light higher. At this point, then you can grind certain other things for gear score. So 980 is your current gear score. You could grind helmet, you could grind your gauntlets, you could grind your class item out, and you could grind your power weapon out, and suddenly you are that much closer to 981 because you pushed that ceiling up just a little bit further. So very quickly, one more exercise here. At 980, you can either get a pinnacle or a powerful drop. In this particular case, there are so many different things that are close to 980 that a powerful drop would probably be beneficial and be able to push you over the 980.7 gap to 981. So let's say you get lucky, you get a helmet, it's 983, 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're 981, congratulations. So that is literally all there is to optimizing power level. You're figuring out if certain drops will be able to increase you to the next gear score level, so that will constantly push you up, and it's a probability game. You have to play the odds. If you have one slot, that if you get a pinnacle in that slot, it won't give you an increase, but every single other slot it will, that's probably good odds that you can go for a pinnacle drop and it will increase for you. Given that there is potential upgrades to the slot imbalances, as Bungie has mentioned, potentially that actually won't be an issue, so it's even more of a good idea to go for these increases. Now let's talk about when you hit soft cap. The moment that you're about to hit soft cap on a character is when you should stop doing all your pinnacles. If you believe you can hit soft cap on a character without doing any of your pinnacles, do that, because pinnacles are the only thing that is going to increase dramatically over 1000. Alright, so here we are at soft cap at 1000. We're ready to grind our pinnacles because anything that is powerful or dropping on our gear score level will not drop higher. Let's just go through a simulation right here and I'll show you what you want to do in those situations. Let's say you go and do 3 pinnacles, you get a helmet, so that gives you a 0.2. You get a power weapon, that's another 0.2, and you get gauntlets, which is another 0.2. At this point, you haven't increased your light level at all, so there is no reason for you to try to grind any powerfuls or gear score or any sort of fancy stuff. You just want pinnacles at this point. Let's keep going. You get a chest piece, you're incredibly lucky, you're at 1001. At this point is when you need to start thinking about your gear score. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces that are lower than your current gear score right now, which you could get, but it's not exactly necessary, because if you do get those pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, it doesn't actually give you an increase in gear score level, which is not going to be beneficial for you just yet. So let's revert those real quick. So this is the point where you're at. At this point, you need pinnacle weapons. You need a pinnacle kinetic, energy, or you need legs or a class item. Those are the ones you want to get, and potentially you couldn't get them. Potentially you might need to wait for next week. That's completely fine. It's all just completely luck and people get screwed over. It's understandable. The thing is, now every single one of your pinnacles is dropping at 1003, which is incredibly beneficial for you, because if they go on your gauntlets or chest piece or power weapon or helmet, anything that has 1002, it's going to be higher than that, so it's going to be beneficial. But if you go on any of your other pieces, you're going to get a big increase with 3 light. So keep going through here. Let's say you get lucky. You get legs and also you get an energy weapon. Here's where you need to think about stopping. You are very close to 1002, which is going to increase your gear score level. You only need a little bit to get over that point. Let's check if getting particular pieces of gear at your gear score level of 1001 will increase you to 1002. So class item, let's say you get that one and you also get the kinetic weapon. Bam, you're 1002. What that means is that you should grind for those 2 particular pieces of gear to drop in order to make your next pinnacles even more beneficial. You could just go for luck and see if you get a good pinnacle drop in the kinetic or class item slot, but the thing is, you can actually make do with resources you have apart from the pinnacle drops. So the most optimal thing in that situation is to get the class item, get the kinetic weapon, get to 1002, and now all your pinnacles are dropping at 1004. Let's just do it one more time just to give you a better idea. Let's say you do it again, you get incredibly lucky, you get a kinetic weapon at 1004. That's 3 increase there. You also get legs, which is a little bit of an increase, and you also get gauntlets. Let's have a look at where we're at now. So again, we're 3/4 of the way, we're at 1002. Is there any particular pieces of gear that we could increase with our gear score level? The only piece that we can increase is our class item. If we increase that by 1, it's not going to do anything. So it's not worth grinding out a class item at our gear score level because that's not going to give us any added benefit. At this point, you just do a pinnacle and hope to frickin' god it drops in a slot that isn't kinetic, isn't the gauntlets, or isn't the legs. So let's say in this situation you do get an energy weapon, that means you are 1 light off the next gear score level, in which case, you guessed it, you should go for the class item. Bring that up, 1003, repeat the process until you get 1010, and hey, that's your light level journey over. Now let's be completely honest, this isn't actually necessary for this season as there's no real World's First raid to do. In fact, World's First raids are done with contests these days, so it's not actually necessary to grind this much out. The only reason to really get this optimal and really go for it is to speed up the process, get yourself to max light as fast as possible, but also potentially for the race to 1010 light. If that so interests you, you have all the tools available to you. Go right ahead, and I wish you the best of luck. If anyone has any more questions, feel free to ask wherever, comments below, Twitter, Twitch, wherever the fuck you want. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video.